I knew it. I shouldn't have been invited tonight. You should have included me out. Pride, sitting here in a suit, cannot teach pride to die. The accountant in us all would like to balance the columns of our virtues and say, 2 times 2 makes 4, therefore I am progressing. But I stand here as one who has tried to cash that check and found there's no bank open in the dark night. So let's not dress this hour in sequins or aura photos. Let's tell the truth plain. The way that is real is a valley, not a stage. It is unglamorous, without mystical fireworks, only the slow burning down of the self that insists on being seen, thanked, and insured against loss. Why does the path get darker before it's real? Because light that flatters the face does not reach the marrow, only the night reaches the roots. Except a corn of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abideth alone, said the Master. But if it die, it bringeth forth much fruit. You hear the poetry. Do you consent to the burial? We have sung about resurrection as if it were a matinee, but seed time is always covered, buried, unspectacular. If you ask why you cannot see the stars of your own progress, it is because love is escorting you below ground to sever the taproot of I, me, mine. Let's reset expectations. Don't look for reward and punishment superstition here. There is no celestial traffic cop keeping score. There is rigorous mercy. Do you think it is the God self of us that withholds light to spite us? Do you think infinite love booby traps our prayer life to humble our egos? No, love is too clean for that. The night is not retaliation. It is anesthesia for the surgery of separation. Whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it. Hear that and dare to hear more. Not your heartbeat stopped, but your private ownership of it. Not your personality erased, but your claim to be the owner of grace dissolved. When the self finally burns out, the light begins. Not my light, not your light, the light that was in the beginning and lighteth every man that cometh into the world. Until then, we practice what Paul confessed. I die daily. We burn, not for show, but for sight. This valley is the foundation of everything to come. If your heart needs glitter, bless you, but leave it at the door. We will be outwardly sober and inwardly overheated with love. We will let pride make its last stand, and then watch it pass. I will put a name to the thief that slips into our prayers and pockets our peace. Humanhood, the pretended selfhood apart from God. Not the body, not the history, not the temperament, the claim that there is an I here with a private life, private supply, private virtue, private terror. That claimant is the imposter. I and my Father are one, says the Master. Humanhood adds, except on Mondays, taxes, and relatives, and then wonders why the joy leaks. As long as we carry that counterfeit identity, every step forward becomes a negotiation for comfort and applause, and every shadow looks like punishment. Do you think it is the God self of us that births famine and then asks for canned goods? Do you think infinite love invents cancer to sell us courage, or scatters resentment like dandelions across families to teach us gardening? Do you think the one who clothes the lilies also drafts fear as a tutor, or it is our self-claim, this separate proprietor of breath that cultivates fear and then kneels to it? Do you think the God self in us, which knoweth what things ye have need of, withholds rent, invents war, or hammers your neighbor with gossip? No, no. These are the children of humanhood, of a sense of selfhood apart from God, and they inherit their parents' confusion. The personal self wants to be credited, comforted, and consulted. It wants a cushion, a certificate, and a crowd. It asks for a little special handling and calls it prayer. The God self quietly is, it does not seek precedent or applause. It does not rush. It does not retaliate. The kingdom of God is within you, said Jesus, not within your resume, not within your moods, not within your virtue savings account, within you as the very presence of I am. When we live in humanhood, we live in commentary about God. When we live as the God self, we live as the word spoken before commentary, let there be light. So what do we do with this imposter? We do not improve it, we let it go out. We may die daily to the personal self, daily, not ceremonially, not once for all with a trumpet and a certificate, but daily as a quiet unclaiming of ownership. Without me ye can do nothing, says the Christ. Hear it this way. Without the living one acting as you, your religious personality can only rearrange the furniture of trouble. The practice is not technique chasing. It is consenting to be nothing in oneself that he may be everything as us. Today I die to credit, tomorrow to comfort, the next day to being understood. Every day the imposter gets a little less air, a little less ink. If separation is the disease, the night is the surgery. Don't curse the anesthesia. When the room goes dim, the scalpel of grace is finding the adhesion, this sticky sense of me apart. You do not need a stronger human. You need a vanishing human. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and let the false claimant starve. Be still and let the God self be the only self, the only doer, the only life in the midst of you. Then the symptoms that Hamanud authored, fear, famine, retaliation, have no signature to cash, and they pass. Let me tell the truth on myself so you may recognize it in yourself without shame. The first light that ever broke for me some sweet heat in meditation, a prayer that actually bore fruit, a little peace where there had been knives. Do you know what happened? The human accountant in me brought out his green eyeshade and wrote it up as an asset. My consciousness, he whispered, my practice. And he sent a memo to heaven requesting a raise. The moment grace brushed my cheek, the personal self powdered its nose and stepped forward for the photograph. The self puffs itself even in his light. He must increase, but I must decrease, said John. We translate it, he must increase, and I must get a better chair. Do you know that seesaw? One day we walked through the market as if a hymn were carrying our groceries, smiles, answers, little miracles like peaches falling into our basket without bruises. The next day, a cloud sits on our head, and the hymn has turned into arithmetic about bills and opinions. Monday, we forgive 70 times 7. Tuesday, we cannot forgive the waiter for forgetting the lemon. Do you think God has changed his mood? Do you think infinite love offers coupons on even days and austerity on odd days? No. The weather is not divine. It is our sense of a private owner trying to fence the sunrise. I can of mine own self do nothing, said the master. The moment the mine own self does something, brands it, narrates it, invoices it, the glow thins, and rightly so. I have joked that in my next incarnation I'll be a branch bank manager, anything simpler than managing a spiritual ego. At least there, 2 times 2 is 4, before lunch and after. In this work, 2 times 2 is 4 in the morning, and by afternoon the ego has penciled in a 5, called it revelation, and asked for applause. Do not be shocked, be informed. The start of the spiritual life is usually a state of self-deception. The child in us gets a sugar cube, dances on the table, and calls it realization. Then the crash comes, and we accuse God of stealing our candy. The truth is gentler and sterner. Love will not subsidize a performance. When thou doest alms, let not thy left hand know what thy right hand doeth, says Jesus. We may hear it this way. When grace moves, do not let your spiritual personality eavesdrop long enough to claim authorship. So let's not panic. Let's notice. Early light is a mirror that shows us how quickly we grab the crown. The remedy is not to turn off the light or make a vow to be more impressive next time. The remedy is to die daily to the claimant. And because the prideful self will not resign on announcement day, grace ushers us into a deeper, darker classroom where sugar is not served. Blessed are the poor in spirit, not the rich in glow. If you wake one morning and the glow is gone, do not run for brighter candles, bow your head. The teacher just closed the curtains so the scalpel can find the root. Now comes the hour when the pretty glaze is scraped from the cup and you find, to your scandal, that it still holds water without shine. The night announces itself with a dryness you cannot bribe. Prayer, which yesterday seemed a river, becomes a wooden oar hitting rock. Your favorite technique, oh, that surefire verse, that breathing pattern, that little inner handshake stops performing like a union man on strike. The room that once applauded your testimonies goes empty. Friends who loved your glow find they have other plans when the glow is off. The mirror offers you no angle that reassures. When thou prayest, enter into thy closet, said the Master. And now the closet is dark, without a whisper, as if the landlord changed the lock. Do you think it is the God self of us tormenting us with silence, or is love turning off the electricity to close the carnival? Losses begin to fall like old paint reputation first, because it was painted on others' eyes. Certainty next, because it was painted on our own. And then the religious cosmetics, the extra holy tone, the blessed nod, the carefully displayed scripture like a boutonniere. Let them peel. They were not you, they were costumes that asked for tips. Take no thought for your life, said Jesus. This is not poetry carved on a plaque. This is the cashier shutting down the bargaining window you call devotion. The final black night is not a flogging. It is a fast, and the thing being starved is pride. The spiritual personality that thinks it can trade with God can do a little believing, a little quoting, a little alms in exchange for a little light. So let's do a scandalous thing together. Let's twist that Bible upside down. Stop quoting it to win the argument with your fear. Rephrase truth in your own language, or better, let truth rephrase you. If the Lord is my shepherd has become a charm you rub to make wolves run, turn it inside out. I have no separate sheep to lose and no separate wolf to fear. Only the shepherding lives here. If I can of mine own self do nothing, has been a pious costume, wear it as skin. I resign authorship. I relinquish outcomes. I refuse to invoice God. In the black night you will hear the last whimpers of the traitor. If you bless me, I will serve. If you heal me, I will testify. If you open the door, I will praise. Do you think infinite love accepts coupons clipped from a bargaining heart? No. Grace loves you too cleanly to sustain that marketplace. It lets the merchant in us go bankrupt, that the temple may be house of prayer again. He that loseth his life for my sake shall find it. Hear it here, where the counters are bare. Lose the life of transaction, and you will find life that needs no deal. Do not mistake the silence for absence. The physician has not left the room. He has closed it for surgery. My God, why hast thou forsaken me? Cried the dying Jesus, and in that darkest hour the personal was finishing its last sentence. It is finished, so the impersonal love might speak as resurrection. This is mercy, severe and immaculate. Let the dryness be dry. Let prayer be without music. Let applause go home early. Starve the proud self until it has no breath to bargain. Then, without announcement, you will discover prayer, praying itself, love, loving where you cannot claim it, and a light that does not flatter but governs. In this dark classroom, another idol comes forward for its last applause, sentiment. It has worn our face and called itself love. It wept easily. It rushed in with blankets and speeches. It asked, did I help? And waited for a report card in the eyes of the one we served. Do you think it is the God self of us that needs tears to lubricate compassion? Do you think infinite love checks our pulse to see if we are sufficiently stirred before it heals, feeds, forgives? No, no. Sentiment is an emotional interchange, a trade of currents between personalities. Divine love is an atmosphere, an ever-presence that requires no payment and offers no receipt. Here we learn insulation, not isolation. Not a monastery behind stone, but a monastic heart in a marketplace, outwardly cold-blooded in the human sense, inwardly overheated with love for God and man. What does that look like? Hands cool and accurate, eyes clear enough to see the Christ where the symptom shouts, and a heart burning for the presence, not for flattering outcomes. Love your enemies, pray for them which despitefully use you, said the Master. That is insulation. Human sentiment cannot do it. It needs a friendly face and a quick thank you. Impersonal love doesn't shop for faces. It beholds the same, life shining behind a fist and behind a blessing, and it serves that life without asking for a signature. Pity must go. Approval addiction must go. They are pride in costume, hungry for feedback. Tell me I mattered. Tell me I am kind. Do you think the Christ in you requires applause to continue shining? Do you think the light dims when the patient forgets to write a testimonial? The chamber of true love has no mirrors. Let not thy left hand know what thy right hand doeth. Hear it this way. Let not your spiritual personality eavesdrop long enough to be warmed by its own gesture. We burn for the Christ in all, not for the photographs of rescued people on our mantle. So practice a pivot before and after every contact. Before, be still and identify no one. After the flesh, not even yourself. Silently, Father, thou doest the works. I am only transparency. During, keep sympathy out and mercy in. Look past the face to the presence, and let your hands be precise and unhurried. After, return all credit to silence. Pray for those who forgot to say thank you, and for those who wounded you, with the same impersonal warmth, 70 times 7 if necessary, until the wound finds no condemnation to feed on. This insulation is not frost. It is steady fire without smoke. It carries you through the night without depletion because it is not your candle. The oil is not emotion. The oil is God. When no one approves, the flame does not flicker. When everyone approves, it does not flare. Joy appears not as a reaction but as an atmosphere. The quiet champagne of knowing the Christ has room to act, whether or not you are in the picture. Then you can sit by a hospital bed or at a tax desk. You can say yes or you can say no with the same inner temperature. The night does not drain what you never supplied. Love lives and acts as you, and vanity has no handle to turn. Now that the heart has learned insulation, let us put the X-ray on our two favorite altars, the body and the bank book. I confess I have worshipped at both. I have lived inside a rib cage as if it were a cathedral and counted coins as if they issued breath. And both times, the night kindly turned out the light so I could see my idol. Do you think it is the God self of us that frets over inches and interest? Do you think infinite love sets up a shrine around your pulse or your portfolio? No. Is not the life more than meat and the body than raiment, says the Master? Hear it this way. Life is not in the costume. The costume is for life's play. It's a tomb if you're living inside of it. It's only a body if you're outside using it as an instrument. If you climb in and bolt the door, my pain, my glamour, my decline, my improvement, you will find the air grows thin and the view small. If you stand outside and take it as you would an automobile, jump in, drive, jump out, you will find it takes you where love sends and then rests without complaint. We have this treasure in earthen vessels, said Scripture, but the treasure is not dust, and the vessel is not deity. The night work removes our hiding places by touching both the ache that reveals where we lived in the flesh and the fatigue that shows we believe strength was a personal battery. Blessed exposure. Let the X-ray show it. Now money. God, in his mischief and mercy, gives us some dollar bills to play with, marbles for the game, tickets for the carnival. Render unto Caesar his ink and paper. Do not render unto money your heart. Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. If your treasure is a number, your heart will live in a vault and suffocate politely. If your treasure is the presence, the numbers will come and go like birds on a wire, and you will bless them coming and bless them flying away. Do you think the Christ in you needs a savings account to underwrite forgiveness? Do you think love delays its giving until the market smiles? No. The valley removes our other fortress, a balance that told us we existed. Here is the practice. Handle both as instruments under God. When the body shouts, answer from outside. Father, thou art the health of my countenance and my God. Then do the next simple steward's act, rest or work, water or walk, but do not move into the tomb. When money shouts scarcity or seduction, do your arithmetic cleanly, pay what is yours, decline what is not, and then return the heart to silence. Take no thought for your life, not as negligence, but as refusal to make a separate self the caretaker. Treat them like the car. Maintain it, fuel it, steer it. Do not polish it into a shrine or sleep in the garage. Drive where love needs a ride. Park without weeping. If the car is traded, it was never your life. If the trip is longer than planned, the driver has not changed. Mobility of spirit replaces possession anxiety. You can give, receive, earn, and refuse with the same inner temperature, because you are not living inside the instrument. The instrumentalist is living as you. Then even the night cannot trap you in bone or bill. The tomb stands open, the marbles roll where they will, and the God self alone is the wealth and the health in the midst of you. Now, if we are to come out of the tombs of body and bank, we must also come out of the tomb we built around God. Carry the red letters with you. I mean, literally, put the New Testament with the Master's words in your pocket or your purse, not as an ornament on a shelf, but as a whispering companion on a bus, in a waiting room, between phone calls. Let those words insist on the nature of God while your mood tries to preach another gospel. Ye have heard that it hath been said, but I say unto you, there is the pivot, Moses to Christ, retaliation to mercy, scorekeeping to love. Do you think it is the God self of us that keeps a ledger, sins in one column, alms in the other, and a little lightning in the margin to help us behave? Do you think infinite love waits for a quota of tears before it forgives? No. The scorekeeper is the personal self. It likes a universe of wages because it secretly wants a bonus. The red letters dissolve that theater. Forgive 70 times 7. Resist not evil. Judge not, that ye be not judged. He maketh his sun to rise on the evil and on the good. If the sun does not play favorites, what are we doing with our cloudy faces? Let's twist that Bible upside down until it lives. If love your enemies is still a slogan on your refrigerator, rephrase it until it becomes breath. Father, let me find no enemy to hate. Let me see only thy life misperceived. If be ye therefore perfect has become a whip, turn it. Be thou holy thyself as me. I will not interfere. If I will have mercy and not sacrifice. Sounds like a policy, make it pulse. I retire self-punishment and self-promotion. I choose mercy as climate. God is love. Not love with conditions, not love with a stopwatch, not love with a rod, love that was before your darkness and remains after your tantrum. In him is no darkness at all. When plagues of fear or famine parade through the mind, Do you think God hired them as tutors? Or is the human self inventing troubles in order to buy solutions from itself? The red letters introduce again the God who cannot retaliate because he is not two, he is one. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. There is no thunderbolt in that voice. There is only a sea that swallows the rocks we throw. With God's nature clarified, daily dying becomes sane. We are not surrendering to a punisher, we are surrendering our punishing device. Each time we die to the accountant in us who counts offenses and merits, we open a window for the Christ to breathe. So, when your hand lifts to retaliate, take out your pocket gospel. Read until the heat cools and the inner climate returns to mercy. Then rephrase, right there in your own tongue, until the word is not a verse, but a vein. The traitor in you will find no counter to stand behind. The bargainer will find no God to bargain with. And in that vacancy, love begins to be itself as you. When the glow is gone and the tricks have stopped performing, what remains? One rule, and it will carry you through night and noon. Die daily. Withdraw the personal claim to being the doer, the knower, the fixer. Say it as plainly as you breathe. I resign authorship. I can of mine own self do nothing. Not my will, but thine be done. This is not mood. It is a method. It is not drama. It is obedience to reality. Without me, ye can do nothing. When you cease claiming the me, the vine has room to flow through the branch. Make it small and make it often. 1 minute silence is on the hour if you can, or at the door before you enter, or at the send button before you answer. Stop, breathe, return the keys. Father, into thy hands I commend my spirit. Then act, but act as steward, not as star. Withhold self-concern before you move. No calculations about how you look, how you are paid back, how you will be quoted. Bless the antagonist before the conversation, during it, and after, silently. Forgive them. They know not what they do. And inside your skull, keep a house rule, no inner rebuttals. Agree with thine adversary quickly, can be turned this way. Agree that the adversary you are arguing with in your head is your own pride rehearsing. Drop the script. Let love speak or keep silent. Run a Socratic rinse through every pressure. Do you think the God self needs your anxiety to accelerate grace? Do you think it lives by your timetable, your agenda, your urgent exclamation points? Do you think infinite love requires your applause before it heals? No, no, no. Your panic is not prayer. Your schedule is not sovereignty. Your clapping is not causation. The only practice that remains is surrender, repeated until the self grows thin. Keep a schedule when feelings leave. This is faithfulness, not performance. Sit at the appointed times. Read your red letters, in season and out. Hold those minutes of quiet like a chalice, even when they taste of dust. Watch and pray. He that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much. When sweetness comes, do not hoard it. When dryness comes, do not diagnose it. Show up. Die daily. The branch does not monitor the sap. It abides. And service, do not solicit healings. Do not fish for cases to decorate your mantle. When sincerely called, go day and night if night is when life knocks without fee in your heart, without a poster in your mind. Stay until harmony appears. Then step out of the picture and leave the credit where it belongs. Thy faith hath made thee whole. Freely ye have received, freely give. Die to the rescuer as surely as to the coward. Then the channel stands open, and God is free to be God as you. Let me put a few case notes on the table, not as trophies, not to fatten a spiritual resume, but so you can see how results arrive when the personal doer is sent to the coat room. Proof without boasting. Valley notes, not mountain postcards. When the self is thin, the Christ walks through. When the self is thick, we talk about walks. I can of mine own self do nothing. Hear it beating underneath all of this. A mother telephoned in the night her boy burning on another continent. Airplanes could not help me, and sentiment would only wring its hands. Do you think my personality crossed the ocean with a bucket? Do you think anxiety hurries God? No. I set the receiver down, became still, and let the inner chatter go bankrupt. Speak the word only, and my servant shall be healed. I did not picture a body. I acknowledge the one, life being itself without interruption, there as here. 10 minutes, then sleep like a child who trusts the driver. In the morning, a cable, fever broken, boy eating toast. Later, the thank you came hunting for a name to bless. I returned it unopened. Give thanks where the work was done. The presence was present. The personal healer was absent. That is the arithmetic. In a prison block, the air heavy with stale anger, I sat with a man whose name had been reduced to a number and a crime. Shame had taken the lease. I did not arrive with charity speeches. I brought no violins. I did not promise him a new sentence. Outwardly cold-blooded, inwardly overheated with love, I sat and I refused to know him after the flesh. Neither do I condemn thee. Go and sin no more. We let those words, rephrased in silence, comb the knots. Week by week the eyes steadied. No fireworks, no poster. One day he asked the gods forgiveness for a slur. Another day he wrote a letter to a family he had torn. Not sentimentality, dignity awakening beneath the soot. I did not petition for early release. Love was already releasing the man from the cell he carried inside. When the Christ is allowed the room, the iron sings, and no one is praised but God. There was a season when history ran hot. Threats in the alley, rumors like wasps, neighbors choosing sides with fists. Do you think love requires hatred to keep its edge, or that mercy is blind to danger? No. Insulation, not naivete. Perfect love casteth out fear. We prayed without enemy images. We prepared our doors without revenge. One night, a man who had spat at us came trembling for shelter. The flesh wanted a sermon. The Christ made soup. Do you think that fed a bully? It unhooked the bomb in two hearts at once. He slept under our roof. No applause in the morning. No photographs. Only clarity kept. Harm avoided. And a quiet sentence written in the book only God reads. We keep no scrapbook. We do not hang plaques. 5 fevers, 3 paroles, 1 saved riot. Not unto us, O Lord, not unto us, but unto thy name give glory. If I tell it, it is for instruction. Effectiveness grows in exact proportion to the disappearance of the personal doer. The less I, the more light. The more light, the fewer stories we need, because life itself becomes the story, and it tells itself without our signature. Here is the turn, not announced with trumpets, but recognized by quiet certainties. When the self has finally burned to ash, no bargains left, no photographs to sign, something begins that is not a beginning in time, but an unveiling. Forgiveness appears without effort, like a spring that forgot how to run dry. Do you think forgiveness now requires a courtroom, a speech, a trembling confession? Do you think the God self needs to feel moved before it releases a debt? No. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Ceases to be a verse and becomes a fact of climate. You find, to your surprise, that the hand no longer tightens around old names. The mind that rehearsed injuries yawns and goes to bed. A stillness begins to hold, even in traffic, even in opinion storms. Joy rises like inner champagne bubbles with no audience, laughter inside the ribs with no joke to justify it. not carnival joy, oxygen. And holiness goes shop-worn on purpose. We do not dramatize the dawn. Dishes shine in a new way because there is no one polishing them for applause. A check total at the market becomes a prayer bell thank you, not for the price, but for presence that neither totals nor discounts. Let your light so shine no longer suggest a spotlight. It is a lamp behind your back, throwing a clear line on the work and nobody's face. You sweep a floor as if it were a chapel, and you close a door without the old itch to be seen closing it. This is not ascetic theater. It is a returned simplicity where every task is an altar, every breath a modest hymn. Relationships loosen their tribal knots. Love of family grows more tender even as the hooks are quietly filed down. Who is my mother and who are my brethren was never cold. It was universal. You discover you can bless your own household without making a moat, and you can bless the stranger without making a poster. No one is held in condemnation. No one, not the politician on your screen, not the relative with the rehearsed wound, not yourself for last year's blindness. Judge not becomes muscle memory, outwardly cold-blooded, no sentimental floods to drown the room, inwardly overheated with a steady warmth that neither flatters nor withdraws. Insulation, not distance. Outcomes, praise God, slip off the hook. Service becomes obedience instead of management. Do you think the vine negotiates with the branch about how many grapes by Thursday? Do you think infinite love requires your quarterly report? No. I can of mine own self do nothing becomes relief. You are a flute, not a foreman. You show up, you are played, you do not edit the music after. When fruit appears, you don't count. When leaves appear, you don't panic. Be still and know that I am God translates into 1,000 micro surrenders before, during, after every act until doing and being fall into one. So yes, let me echo the mischief with which we began. I should have been included out. The self should have burned itself out. And when the self finally burns out, the light begins. Not a light we switch on, but the light that was always there, now unimpeded. Joy appears. The instant self-preoccupation ends. Peace holds, because there is no one left to drop it. Ye are the light of the world is not a promotion. It is an unveiling. The light does the living, the loving, the seeing, the sending. And in that living, the night is no longer an enemy. It is the clean dark in which stars are seen and service flows without smoke. Now, let us make this very plain, very ordinary, very livable. A monastic life in the middle of grocery aisles and inboxes, in the world not of it, insulated, available and cheerful. Do you think holiness requires a cowl and a bell rope? Do you think the God self needs a desert to be present? No. The desert is inward, withdrawn from self-importance, and the marketplace is where love becomes unembarrassed. Outwardly cold-blooded, calm hands, clear eyes, no sentimental gymnastics. Inwardly overheated, a steady, tender burn for God and man that neither flatters nor withdraws. The kingdom of God is within you. Take it to the bank line, take it to the school pickup, take it to your pillow at 2 a.m. Service then grows simple. Answer sincere need fully. Refuse spiritual showmanship and scorekeeping. Do you think infinite love is flattered by our busyness, our newsletters of outcomes? Do you think God hires press agents? No. Freely ye have received, freely give. When the call is genuine, go wholeheartedly, without bargaining, without a poster in your mind. Stay until harmony is restored. Then leave without taking a bow. When the call is curiosity or entertainment, do a little miracle for the party. Smile, bless, and decline. Let your light so shine does not mean spotlight. It means usefulness without theater. Boundaries are love in work clothes. Say yes wholly. Say no cleanly, no guilt, no pride. Let your communication be yea, yea, nay, nay. If you say yes, let it be undivided, without inner eye rolls and martyrdom hymns. If you say no, let it be unarmed. No story, no condemnation, just clarity that keeps love free to act tomorrow. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Wisdom says no to flattery, compulsion, and emergencies that pride invents. Harmlessness keeps the heart unarmored. This is not hardness, it is intactness. Stewardship continues where detachment began. The body remains an automobile. Maintain it, fuel it, steer it, but do not sleep in the garage. We have this treasure in earthen vessels. Treat the vessel like clay, the treasure like God. Money remains marbles to play with. Count them, roll them, pass them, but do not live inside the bag. Render therefore unto Caesar the things which are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God's. Pay your bills cleanly. Refuse what is not yours. Give without theater. Receive without apology. Tools unto God, never identity props. Daily maintenance keeps the climate steady. Carry the red letters in your pocket or purse. Actually carry them. Between tasks, 2 minutes, read a sentence until it becomes breath. Abide in me. Judge not. Fear not. Then rephrase it in your own tongue until it stands up and walks through your day. Die daily in the heart, little committals. Father, I resign authorship. Watch and pray. Before the call, surrender. During the act, surrender. After the fruit, surrender. In this way, sustained freedom becomes practical, impersonal service, clear boundaries, steady non-attachment, the quiet monasticism of a life lived outside the tomb where love itself does the living. Take this as you step into the market and the midnight hallway. Keep your hands cold and your heart overheated. Cold outwardly, not frigid, but accurate, steady, uninterested in applause, overheated inwardly with love for God and man, a burn that finds the Christ behind every name. This is our commission. Look cold-blooded enough to be precise, live so warmed by presence that precision becomes tenderness in action. Be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Let wisdom keep the fingers exact. Let harmlessness keep the fire pure. We have walked a valley. Separation was the ache. A sense of selfhood apart from God authored confusion. Humanhood strutted and suffered. The God self waited. We learned that pity is not love, that insulation is not frost, that love your enemies ends bargains. The red letters spoke over retaliation. Forgive 70 times 7. Judge not, resist not evil. God revealed as love without a rod. Body and money under the X-ray proved instruments, not identities. We have this treasure in earthen vessels, cars to drive, marbles to play with, never tombs. Outside the body, it is useful. Outside the purse, money is light. Do you think it is the God self of us that withholds rice from the hungry, or did humanhood build walls and hoard fear? Do you think infinite love manufactures plagues to sharpen our manners, or does the personal self invent storms to sell umbrellas? Do you think heaven runs a lottery for healing and peace, or do we close the window with pride and call the room airless? No. No one, no person dispenses or denies God. No one. No one. So keep a simple rule of life and keep it. Carry the red letters. Read them between errands. Rephrase them until they walk. Die daily little resignations under the breath. Not my will but thine. I can of mine own self do nothing. Father, into thy hands I commend my spirit. Forgive 70 times 7 before the apology, after the relapse, especially inside your skull. Serve without self. Answer sincere. Need holy. Decline theater cleanly. Let your yea be yea, and your nay be nay. Do the ordinary well, give the fruit away, and leave credit where the work is done. And now the seal. Let pride make its last stand and pass today without ceremony. Quit bargaining, retire the rescuer, bury the judge, step aside, and let the light do what only light can. Be still. Walk outwardly cold-blooded, inwardly overheated. Keep hands cool, heart on fire, mind unarmed. The God self alone lives, loves, and acts as you. Go in that joy and do not look back.